9MG TV. This is Grand Kush. Thanks for falling through. Like and subscribe. So I want to piggyback on my last video, right? For those who deal with Noone Science. So I never had Larry Morgan on his show to debate whether Nuwaupu came from Nuwaupu. And in my last video I posted concerning the origin of Nuwaupu, I stated, I don't care. That came later on. But the question is, why wasn't the BIAE mentioned, right? And so the ignorant Noonebus was in the house as well. And James West, I was told by my OG brother, Earl Dackins, that you was in the house, but you got ushered out. They kicked you out. And I find that interesting because you was riding with Chuck Morgan like y'all was the supreme team. And as I showed, Chuck Morgan threw you under the bus by stating Dr. York was using Nuwaupu in 1990. And I say he threw you under the bus because you've gone out of your way to state that Afro Unu wrote the BIAE. Even on your weak website, you stated that not only did Afro Unu write the BIAE, you also said he had a hand in writing the 9-ball. Question: how can Afro Unu write the 9-ball in 71 and 72 and then turn around to drop the science to write, if you are searching for knowledge, read me Moon, Set, and Sunrise in the Nature of Nature in 73? Now, when I posed the question to you, you stated it was a re-release. False. Just to cover your ass, you said that, and that's false. On the obituary, it states that Johnny Eugene Brown's first publication was Moon, Set, and Sunrise in 1973, but when you open the book, the date on it is 1993, and this is where you said it was a re-release. But obviously, you don't understand publishing, right? Because you ain't published shit, and you fuck with Lulu.com. The publishing date does not change when you revise or re-release a book under the same title. The publishing date does not change. And so when you look at Moon, Set, and Sunrise, the date on it is 1993. Now I want to show a couple of videos from back in the day. Like I said, I'm digging in the crates on them. Okay. And we gonna listen to your partner, Chucky Morgan, Larry Morgan, speak on a few things with the brother Unc who kicked you out of the show and told Commissioner Gordon, aka A Zoot, that Noone Science was pseudo. How could that be, Lee? After all these years of putting in work and trying to smash on your master teacher, how could these boys tell you that Noone Science was pseudo when they was bigging it up back in the day, and they used the introduction to the nature of nature to say that Doc plagiarized and stole from Afro Unu? See, here's the thing, right? They don't read these scrolls. Unc and Larry Morgan does not read the BIAE, the 9-ball, or the introductions to the nature of nature, and they can't marry the books to the Right Knowledge series. It wasn't about that. They're not revolutionaries, and they're not scientists to me. But let's check out these series of videos, right? And then I'll come back in with my 9 cents and give a little bit more commentary.
They're doing. It would be better to talk to it.
Let's pay attention, my people. Let's listen. Question: why did you get ushered up out of that show with Chuck Morgan and on Signetter? They ushered you out and said, yo, your information is pseudo.
They're doing. It would be better to talk to one of them in regards to how York is taking from
book, right?
excerpts from their book, because York was famous for doing that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah,
you know, they have a very strong, valid argument in their favor, because again, York never talked about this stuff. On one hand, York said that in a letter he wrote that he's not Afro, the brother who wrote those books. He said he's not him. And then now recently he's saying that the guy studied under him.
Look, it's right here. Talking about non-ether. Non-ether is coming from this book right here.
Yeah, they talk about that. Yeah.
See, and everybody think they're attributing to Malachi York, but in this book right here, they're talking about non-ether. Yeah. Ethiopians.
Yeah.
Hey. See?
Yeah. This is what, and York started this in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
That was when he started this stuff. And because he was going on and on, you asked questions, but you didn't probe too far, or you didn't, how he was saying.
This book was written in 1993.
It may have been a re-release.
Okay.
But it goes back to the mid to late 60s.
With this book right here?
Yeah.
Wow.
If that's the one, I'm talking Bible interpretation and explanations.
This the
now with that publication, that's their publication, and those you would have to consult with them to.
Confused. Why would you be listening to the ignorant? Okay, it is obvious based on this video that Unc knows nothing about the introduction to the nature of nature. He has the books in his hand and didn't read the books, and years later, this is like 9-10 years ago, he chopped it up to say that Afro Unu's works is pseudo. Why couldn't you explain that it was right knowledge? Larry Morgan doesn't even know the writer's name. He's stuttering. He also said it was a re-release. How does he know that? Re-release of what? He tried to say re-release of the BIAE. Unc said, nah, this is the ITNON. It's not a re-release of the BIAE. If Chuck Morgan knew about the works, then he would know in book 3 there was supposed to be the BIAE at the end of the book, and it's not in there. He said the late 60s. He don't even know the date of the BIAE. And it's obvious that whatever Larry Morgan was studying while he was under the wing of Doc, it wasn't the revolutionary liberation aspect of Nuwaupu. He wasn't picking that up. He was stuck in the religious aspect. He was stuck in the religious aspect. Now, like I said, the BIAE in the introduction to the nature of nature, the vocabulary is similar, but it's not the same. More proof of how Afro Unu didn't write the BIAE. So the question is, where does Nuwaupu come from? The origin is the BIAE. When you're dealing with Amanubi Ray Kafata, not mentioned in this video, we got more videos to show. Doc used that name. Okay? Question, like I said, how can Afro Unu write Moonset and Sunrise in 1973, but 2 years before he wrote the 9 Ball, and 4 to 5 years before that he wrote BIAE, Bible Interpretations and Explanations? They won't have no answer for you. Okay? They'll try to sway you though. They'll try to mind fuck you. Right? Let's go to the next video.
I don't attack them. I don't do anything. Everything is centered on the questions to Nuwaupians, not Dr. York. Because if people say, why didn't you ask these questions when he was out? My thing was, why would I have to ask him these questions? Because I was on his side. I was his man. I was one of his main teachers. I was pushing this stuff out there. So I wasn't asking them in doubt. I was asking questions. So if they ask me this, what do I say? Because he didn't give me any, well, you go here and this is where you go, unless it may be something religious.
That's interesting. Okay. Because Chuck is not only dealing with the doctrine, he is riding against Dr. York. Okay, he's all up in the master teacher's business. He's going against the Nuwaupians. He's going against Doc. He lied. Look at his past work. Why would you be in an organization for so many years? And as he said, I never challenged Doc. I was his pom-pom boy. I was his pom-pom boy. So the questions that I had, like he said, I just needed to be told what to say. I was Chuck Morgan a Nuwaupian at all. From 1989 to 2011. You know, our scrolls talk about spiritual possession. You got to understand, a lot of wanderers and vagabonds made their way to the land, made their way to the tabernacle in Brooklyn. And before they got there, they had no vision to construct a path for themselves to be successful in life. So Doc is their problem of why they were unsuccessful in life. And so today, they have nothing else to do but to continue on with the dissension. Black Devils. We got more video.
Trying to tell you we can sell it, we can get some money. Any Nuwaupus out there, I'm selling this 500 things. Okay? Now Chuck, man, let's rev it up a little bit, man. Let's get a little one more thing. Are you familiar with these books right here? I think he plagiarized out of here, yo. Look, The Nature of Nature by Afro Unu. You familiar with these?
Yeah.
You heard of these?
I'm familiar with the brother who really is going at York on that alone, and I give them applause for all that they're doing. It would be better to talk to one of them in regards to how York is taking from excerpts from their book, because York was famous for doing that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah,
you know, they have a very strong, valid argument in their favor. Because again, York never talked about this stuff. On one hand, York said that in a letter he wrote that he's not Afro. You know, the brother who wrote those books. He said he's not.
That's crazy. That's crazy. He can't even say Afro Unu's name. He can't even say Afro Unu's name. So how can he talk? How can they talk on this information and they don't even study it? They don't even study it. Now, this is also what Chuck Morgan put up in Sonetter's show, right? Let me see if I can bring it up. There we go. That was his reference right there. So he spoke it and he wrote it. 1990. Can't deal with the ignorant. Okay. Now, he also said this. This is possession, right? Pete.
This is totally unacceptable. Now, we're gonna stand on the truth around here. It is what it is. So basically, let's kind of discuss some of the information he was talking about. Let's kind of talk about it a little bit. What was the matter of fact, the young brother wasn't even old enough to even see his father teach like that.
No, he wasn't.
All right, let's get that straight, right?
No, he definitely wasn't.
but I be damned, yo, he did look like the old man, though. You gotta give him that. He had it going, boy.
I know, because everybody was a clone of Dr. York.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I went out, and let me tell you something. I was so into York and what he taught and how he taught, and I wanted to emulate him in every form. I even, check this out, I would even bleach my beard when he went through that whole period of having, you know, when he used to dye his beard or bleach it, he bleached his mustache and beard. I started doing that and wearing the glasses like his with the string attached to it. Yeah. And when I would do classes, I was Dr. York. And you couldn't tell me otherwise, because in his thing, the way he would say, you have to personify me, you have to become me, you have to, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, and he liked that.
How he hit the glasses. How you get the glass?
Oh, yeah, that was his thing, you know. Or did he do it like that? Yeah.
It was that way, yo.
I mean, it was comical. So the young brother.
So Chuck believes in personification of spirit. He said he embodied the master teacher. He was Doc when he taught. What was he teaching? Is there any footage of him teaching or anything like that? He said he made a gang of radio mixtapes. I would like to hear one of the mixtapes. He said everybody was clones of Dr. York. That's not true. You was James West. You tried to be his son. You wanted to be his son. Chuck Morgan wanted to be his son. In the video, they're talking about Prince York. And you called Child Protective Services and the Popo on Prince York. That's the type of dude, that's the type of Negro you are. For clout and attention. For clout and attention. Hold up. Hold up.
Get them good answers in. I think correct information is always important because pseudoisms was really killing the community, man. It's kind of like taking a lot of our lives. Those who get caught up in cults and stuff like that, man, you know, it's good to have right information. So I spent 5 years in the Nuwaupu camp. I think I came in under Nuwaupu. It was a lot of good information and then a lot of pseudo information, and it was strangely mixed. And so just because you're in a cult don't mean all the information is going to be crazy and whacked out. What it does mean is you got to be careful and understanding what it is you're doing exactly.
Just because you're in a cult doesn't mean all the information is whacked out. You got to understand what you're reading. You got to understand what you're dealing with. And that's been my whole argument. There is a lack of comprehension when dealing with Noone Science.